In fact, a stage. You are looking at actors and actresses that are playing the part of leaders. And we are unwitting participants. It is a stage. The entire world is a stage. Nothing is real. Your freedoms aren't real. You've been enslaved by lies. There's a global government that's running everything. We control the media. We control the textbooks. And you're essentially just a patient in a very long-running MK Ultra experiment. Oh, and also the elites worship Satan. And yeah, they've been in control of human trafficking. It is really dark what's been going on. And only the truth, truly, not to sound cheesy, but it is really only the truth that is going to free us from what's happening.
The Charlie Kirk shooting. We're going to look at it from what I have been seeing. So when I initially saw it, I'm like, it looks legit. The way his head snapped. Now I'm thinking where the bullet would have gone for his head to snap the way it did. Now it seems like the bullet may have entered on the other side, which doesn't resonate with the way the head moved. And as you guys are going to see, it looks like his clothing blew up. It blew up. It blew up. And you're gonna see it. It's like, and then blood starts, coming out the side of his neck, or what appears to be the side of his neck. So it looks like a false flag, guys.
Charlie Kirk is an actor, okay, starring in a movie, and now his character in that movie has just been killed off, okay? It's quite simple stuff, guys. It really is. I don't understand what people are not getting, okay? And yes, I did see the footage, and it did look very convincing. I must admit, it did. But like I've said before, with all these scare events and the ones that are coming up, they will look very convincing, even for us awakened ones, okay? They will. And we may even temporarily get plugged back into the Matrix, okay? Until the penny drops and we can see it's all bollocks, and then we can pull ourselves back out again.
Bad stuff happens. For 33 hours.
Let me enlighten you spiritually, people. I do not care about your race. I don't care about your gender. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your political party. It is not my fault you're spiritually don't know how they use gematria, numerology, and these little rituals and psyops to sway your emotions for you to vote for your own destruction. I don't idolize any man. I don't idolize flesh and Freemasons and those who protect the slave trade of young children, the satanic ritual abusing of young children. That's y'all. Y'all vote for this stuff. Your president's involved with it. Your precious athletes and idols are involved with it. Most of your musicians and artists are involved with it. That I'm telling you the truth, and I'm showing you through the symbolism that they do, that they're a part of that community. They're a part of that fraternal order. This picture right here, he was next to Candace Owens doing the same exact pose.
Okay, watch this guy over here. He's tampering with evidence.
Safety team is here.
In an active crime
Just heard
scene.
them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit. What the security.
I literally just said I was done with this nonsense. And I literally just made a post showing how they're all part of a club that loves the number 33. And I showed it in the very first Yahoo article talking about it today. If you scroll down, they always do it. They show you 3 in 3 in this article. They tell you. But guess what? They think you are so dumb that they just rub it in your face so insanely. Following a nearly 2-day manhunt, a suspect in the was taken into custody on Friday, 33 hours after he was boom. You almost gotta be a blubbering idiot not to see how this is just complete and utter false flag nonsense. False flag nonsense. You're believing a bunch of liars that are lying to you, including this guy. They're making an idol out of him, and you're paying tribute and you're worshiping a fallen idol. How do you not get this? He's not gone. He's part of the club. He's going to resurface very shortly in a new role. That's what they do. They fake and stage this stuff. MLK is Don King. Go watch my video. MLK is Don King. I found many birthmarks, exact birthmarks. You're being played, people, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the hand symbols and the gestures. Yeah, they all worship freaking Lucifer. Figure it out. I'm annoyed now. Now I'm just mad that all of you can't figure this out when they're rubbing it in your face with their little 33s. Now I'm just pissed. Now I'm pissed. First I cared and I just wanted to help and have people see the truth. Now I'm just pissed that you're all falling for their BS. Figure it out.
Told the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. The story does not add up in any way, shape, or form, and so I'm going to ask the questions that have not been answered yet. Starting with a heavy one. The footage that we saw of the front of Charlie's neck, was that an entry or an exit wound? I ask this because entry wounds are much, much smaller. They are much more defined and consolidated to a smaller area than an exit wound. Exit wounds oftentimes look like an explosion type. It's more graphic. So if the exit wound was in the back, it surely should have looked a lot more intense than the front of his neck, right? Why wasn't there any blood spatter on the white banner behind Charlie? Another question I have about this is when they were carrying Charlie to the car after he was shot, where was the blood trail? If the back of his neck was supposed to be the exit wound, surely there would have been a blood trail. And there's footage out right now that you can look at of them carrying him to the car, and there's not a blood trail. Why wasn't this handled like a regular crime scene? Why was his security taking down a camera that was posted up behind Charlie during the shooting? Because that will show you key evidence of what happened. And it was taken down minutes after it happened. Who took that camera down? Where is that footage and what was seen on that footage? I also want to know, why was everybody walking around the area? If a horrific crime just happened where we saw the blood, we saw it with our own eyes, why wasn't anybody looking on the ground and being careful where they were stepping behind Charlie? It was supposed to be more graphic behind Charlie if we're talking about an exit wound being at the back of your neck. So where was the blood behind him? There were multiple decoys in this incident. It almost seems like there was a patsy because you remember that older guy who was taken into custody. His name turned out to be George Zinn. And ironically, George Zinn was also featured in many 9/11 interviews blaming Al-Qaeda for the 9/11 attacks. The gun that they are saying was found in the woods that was used for this crime is very difficult to take apart and put back together. It's time consuming. And so we saw him running off of the building. He ran and jumped off of the building, no gun in sight. Okay, so he must have put it in his backpack, put it in his pants, whatever they think happened. They apparently say that he disassembled it. But why would he reassemble it in the woods then before leaving? Make it make sense. What was the visibility like on the building that the so-called shooter was shooting from? Because he was shooting from higher up. Charlie was underneath a tent with the crowd very close to him. So they were up very close. It would have been a really tough shot, and he got it right on the money on the first try. So has anybody gone back there to see what the visibility would be like from that range with that type of gun? Where are we at with that? Netanyahu is acting incredibly suspicious. He somehow tweeted at the exact same time as Donald Trump to announce that Charlie Kirk was killed. Why is a foreign leader tweeting at the same time as a US president announcing the death of a very prominent political figure in America? We're now seeing countless videos surface of him changing his mind on his stance on Israel within the past couple of months. As recent as about 5 days ago when he appeared with Ben Shapiro talking about, are we to trust everything that we're hearing about Israel? Why can't we question it? It all seemed very rushed. He was home in his casket within 48 hours of being killed. Everything was very swift. What does the hospital have to say? What do the surgeons at the hospital have to say? We need answers on this stuff.
Once you begin to see how words and terms and symbols are used, and the powers that be in this world have set up a world of symbols and emblems and terms and catchphrases. Once you understand how this system works, for the first time, the world opens up to you All of it is right in front of you. But if you don't understand what the words are and what the words mean, you're never going to figure out how this stuff works. There's a very sinister, frightening, interesting symbolism that has been imposed upon this country, and the people have no idea in the world what's going on. And I will guarantee you, no matter how educated you might think you are, I will guarantee you, you have no idea in the world how the world actually works. You need to understand that when even on your check, when you're writing a check, the place where you put your name on a check, look at that line, what you're signing on, and get a magnifying glass, and you will find that's not a solid line to sign your name on. That is written, it's a typewritten sentence that's been honed down to microscopic size. Get a magnifying glass and read on a check what is said where you sign your name. One of the most interesting symbols in Druidism was a magic wand. Magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of hollywood. And we're still seeing the magic of the wood of the holly tree. Hollywood. Hollywood. Motion pictures, television. I have discovered many years ago that words and magical systems dominate the world that we live in. There is, in point of fact, a magical matrix at work. I've always been interested in the occult. Occult is simply a word meaning hidden, and so much of our powers in this world and the way things work are hidden. And the more one looks at this subject of how the world actually works, you begin to see that there's a magical system, and I'm telling you, there really is a magical system dominating the world of the Western civilization. And for 1,000 years before the Roman Empire existed in Northern Europe, basically Western Europe, there was a magical priesthood called the Druids. And the Druids still even exist to this day. And it was a very legitimate political, social, educational, religious institution dominating Europe for thousands of years. And they were referred to as the Druids. They were actually from the Phoenician Canaanite system in the Middle East. The Phoenician Canaanites formed the basis for the ancient Druidic system, and that's even older. But in the ancient Druidic system, there were many powerful symbols and emblems. One of the most interesting symbols in Druidism was a magic wand, like Merlin the magician with his magic wand. Magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It was made out of Hollywood. And we're still seeing the magic of the wood of the holly tree. Hollywood, motion pictures, television. And once you begin to see the symbols and realize that the symbols for the national coats of arms for countries, the flags, the seals, the presidential seals, the emblems for the logos and emblems on corporations, especially the corporate emblems for motion pictures and television companies like Columbia Broadcasting System. CBS has the eye. The Columbian system goes back to the Columbian faction of the Illuminati back in the early 1700s, not the late 1700s. And you begin to see why space shuttle is called Columbia. You have Columbia University, Columbia Pictures, Columbia Broadcasting. Columbia is a very interesting word, and it's connected to the Jesuits. Once you begin to see how words and terms and symbols are used, and of course symbols are extraordinarily important in world affairs, all of a sudden it opens up, as I said, a whole new perspective on how stuff is happening. Let me give you an example of how words, my friend William Henry says you put an S in front of the word word and it becomes swords. The words are swords. They are cutting things. Humans are word responsive creatures. We respond to people's words. When you begin to see how words are used, let me give you an example of the magic. Why do you have to go to court? You go to court because you play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Why? Because the people that develop it know it's a racket. That's where we get the term. Consequently, you need to understand that the words which are used by the systems under which we live are not by chance. In a court, the whole idea in a court is to put the ball back in the other guy's court. So this team of attorneys, they stand up and throw the ball back at the other team. Now the ball's in their court. They have to get up and throw the ball back into that court. The judge wears a black robe. Why does a judge wear a black robe? Well, the same reason Catholic priests wear black robes. Rabbis wear black robes. You wear a black robe. For many years, young people graduating from university and college wear a black robe. What's this stuff with a black robe? Let me give you an example of how this stuff works, and it's a very quick example. There are two basic kinds of law under the law of magic. There are two kinds of laws that govern the earth. One is called the law of the land, L-A-N-D. And we've heard that term, law of the land. Why do you use that term, the law of the land? Because that's where people live, is on land. But there's an opposing law which is far more important, far, far more powerful. It is called the law of water. It was developed under the old Druidic system in Europe, which can trace its history back through the Roman Empire, through the Vatican, and ultimately back to the Phoenician Canaanites in the Middle East. Of what we today call Phoenicia, Cana, was called back what we call today Israel and Lebanon. Syria, that was called Phoenicia, Cana. And the Phoenician Canaanites, so the very word Cana, which we've all heard in relation to the Bible, Cana is a Phoenician word meaning bankers, merchant bankers. Well, the Phoenician Canaanites set up a system of merchant banking and had their Phoenician Canaanite symbols and words connected to their societies, their banking societies. We're talking about in the Middle East. And then through the Greece and ultimately through Rome and then into Britannia and ultimately into this country comes an ancient Druidic Phoenician Canaanite magical system of finance, education, and all of it is right in front of you. But if you don't understand what the words are and what the words mean, you're never going to figure out how this stuff works. We all have a cursory understanding of what we think is going on. That's not it. You need to understand that when even on your check, when you're writing a check, the place where you put your name on a check, look at that line, what you're signing on, and get a magnifying glass, and you will find that's not a solid line to sign your name on. That is written, it's a typed written sentence that's been honed down to microscopic size. Get a magnifying glass and read on a check what is said where you sign your name. That's why the attorneys tell you, you better check the small print. The small print is ultra small. Where you sign your name on a check is saying something. Go back and read it. You need to understand that according to the old Phoenician Canaanite system, which we call today our judicial, educational and judicial system, there is no law in this country or in the Western world, no law, federal, state, county, city, commercial, it makes no difference. There is no law on the books anywhere in this country that applies to you as an individual creature. There is no law because the people who designed the system thousands of years ago realized that there's two of you. There's the one that your mother gave birth to, that God created, so to speak, and even your mother didn't know what you were doing. Even your father and your mother have no idea what you're thinking or what you will do. You don't even know. So consequently, they have no control over you, your flesh and blood self. But somebody has to control this show, and so consequently, the ancient Phoenician Canaanites developed a system by which they would assign to every person a second you. And this is the way it works in America. There is two of you. Just as there are two states in this country, of every state is two states. You have the state of Nevada and Nevada State. You have Cal State, California State, and State of California. Not the same thing at all. California State, according to the law, is one thing. State of California is totally different. Has nothing to do with each other at all. It's the difference between being a lawyer and an attorney. Has nothing to do with them at all. It's totally separate words, means totally separate things.
Obama, at this point, it's clear that you don't care and you just want everyone to see who you truly are. So just recently, Barack Obama would go on a Zoom call where he would show his support to a group of State House Democrats who fled from Texas to Illinois. In the midst of him showing his support to these people, you can see a stone-like object in the background with some very weird symbols on it, specifically meaning boy lover. Y'all must remember that these people follow the laws of karmic retribution, meaning they have to show us what they're doing or they're going to face bad karma for it. And let's not forget back in 2020 when Obama would go on an interview with Kamala Harris and they would only speak in pedophile code. And when you really understand what these code words actually mean, it's truly sickening. I can't believe this man hasn't been incarcerated yet. I'm gonna pin the code words down below so y'all can make out what he's saying, and y'all let me know what y'all think down below in the comments.
Critical if we are to lead effectively.
Right.
So tell me about Joe and your relationship with Joe, and what do I need to know? Like, what's the thing about the ice cream? He loves ice cream. Tell me about that.
Well, listen, ice cream is big. Pasta with red sauce, he can go deep on that. He really does like those aviator glasses. We've gotten so close in some places in Indiana, they won't serve us pizza anymore.